Welcome to my channel. My name is Aaron, and we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Dorothy Arnold. And this happened to take place in 1910. And she was born as Dorothy Harriet Camille Arnold. And she was born July 1st, 1886 in New York, New York. And her parents are Frances Rose and Mary Parks Arnold. And her father was a Harvard graduate who became a senior partner of F.R. Arnold and Company. And basically it's a perfume and cologne company, I guess. And the Arnolds were famously wealthy and proud descendants of Mayweather passenger William Brewster. And the Arnolds were listed in the New York City Social Register and enjoyed a privileged existence in the Big Apple. Dorothy is the eldest daughter and received her primary education at Velton School for Girls and went to college at Bryn Mawr College. I hope I'm saying that right. To anyone that lives in New York. And she obtained a degree in literature and language. And her greatest dream was becoming a writer. And when she graduated in 1905, she moved back into her parents' home in New York at 108 East 97th Street. Though her parents were less than supportive of her ambitions of a writer. And there are some parents that really don't believe being a writer can at least help you become successful and whatnot, but as you can tell nowadays, a lot of people are writers, and as you can tell, a lot of people nowadays, they love to read. And so now in the spring of 1910, Dorothy submitted a short story to McClure's magazine. I hope I'm saying that one right. But the magazine rejected her work. Not sure why. I kind of want to know, but it happens all the time. Maybe they didn't like it. Maybe they thought that she sucked. Don't know. And basically, when that happened, she was upset. Her friends and family didn't support her. And she set up a P.O. box to secretly correspond with publishers to avoid her family's teasing. And her father, she asked her father if she can get an apartment in Greenwich Village so she can concentrate on her writing. And he dismissed the idea, and he would say a good writer can write anywhere. But it actually depends on some people too. So later on, well, of course, she was heartbroken that fall, and she received some teasing and some bullying from her friends and family. And then later on December 12th, 1910, Dorothy was pretty blue coat, as a lot of females would. And she paired this with a straight cut skirt with a hat of black velvet adorned with 2 white roses and a pale blue lining. Sounds like that she got all dressed up. And the heirs carried a large fox muff to warm her hands. I guess it's that thing that it's like this big where you just stick your hands in and just to keep your hands warm. And she told her mom that she was going to pick up a gown at her sister's house. Well, for her coming out party. And Mary offered to accompany her daughter, but Dorothy declined. And at first glance, this appears suspicious on Dorothy's part, but her mom was ill, and Dorothy likely didn't want to cause any undue stress. So she walked away and said goodbye. And Dorothy walked from her home to the park, and so it was located. Well, she also walked towards Tilford store located on 5th Avenue and 27th Street. And she was charged for a box of chocolates, and she walked to a bookstore and bought engaged girls. She bought engaged girl sketches by Emily Calvin Blake. And around 2 p.m., she ran into a friend named Gladys King. Gladys said that Dorothy appeared carefree and in good spirit. And Dorothy told her she was going to take a walk through Central Park. And both of them parted ways, and Dorothy was never seen again. That evening, the Arnolds arranged to have dinner. Frances and Mary became concerned when the typically punctual Dorothy fell through. They tried to look for her, and they tried to call all her friends, and no one knew where she was. Nobody seen where she went to, and stuff like that. And midnight on December 13th, a woman named I'm just gonna call her Elsa Henry. She called the Arnolds at their home saying that the news regarding to Dorothy, and Dorothy's mother Mary answered, and that she had come home but couldn't find the phone because of a headache. The problem being Dorothy had not returned and was still missing. And she was most likely in danger. Well, of course, since you really haven't been home or anything, she could have met up with someone that she never said to anyone and went from there. But the next morning, Dorothy still hasn't shown up. Frances contacted a family friend and lawyer, John S. Keith, and John searched at the home in Dorothy's room and found nothing. And there was burnt papers in the fireplace, rejection letters, and this and that. And Dorothy had a boyfriend, and his name is George Griscom Jr. And her parents thought that, well, her parents thoroughly disapproved of George, and he was a 42 engineer who liked Dorothy and the fact that she came from a wealthy family. The couple met at Bryn Mawr, but George would never be the man that the Arnolds wanted as a son-in-law. He was nearly 20 years her senior, but was shiftless. And Frances accused of stifling his 25-year-old daughter. And this is what Frances said. I would have been glad to see her associate more with young men than she did, especially some young men of brains and passion, one whose profession or business would keep him occupied. I did not approve of young men who have nothing to do. For anyone's opinions on that, please go ahead and share your opinions in the comments below. And a year before her disappearance, Dorothy lied and said she was going to visit a old college friend. In reality, she went to Boston with her boyfriend. And The Arnolds they suspected George had something to do with her disappearance, which I don't blame them. And however, George was in Italy when Dorothy vanished. So, I would assume so. I would assume that George possibly had taken Dorothy and could have killed her. But on December 16th, 1910, the family sent a telegraph to George in Italy asking where Dorothy went to. And George didn't know where she was. And the Arnolds were not satisfied with George's answer. But Mary, alongside Dorothy's brother, John, traveled to Italy in January to talk to him. They met with George in a hotel room in Florence, Italy. John put the screws to him, trying to threaten and everything to see if that worked. But George professed his love and concern for Dorothy and denied all allegations about the disappearance. And with having that feeling that he's lying, John punched him right in the jaw. And they tried to get the police and everything, and detectives to find out where she was. And probably to this day, well, it seems like nobody knows where she's at. And in February of 1911, a postcard arrived to the Arnold's home, postmarked, well, of course in New York. It's saying, "I'm safe." And it had her signature. And since Dorothy had a man in her life, it is feasible that she died during an illegal abortion. And this theory stems from the 1914 arrest of Dr. C.C. Meredith, Nurse Lucy Orr, and Dr. Lutz of Pennsylvania, who was running the illegal abortion mill. But on November 23rd, Dorothy left to spend Thanksgiving with her friend in D.C. But there's been different allegations and everything, and this is what I guess Mary and John said when they confronted George. Well, it has to come back. McClure's has turned me down. Failure stares me in the face. All I see is a long road with no turning. Mother will always think an accident has happened. And the aftermath, the Arnold family spent thousands of dollars looking for Dorothy, but there's no results. On Valentine's Day, they made it clear they believed that she was dead. On that day, the district attorney, Charles S. Whitman, offered his assistance to the family to find her, but Francis simply declined. And Mr. Whitman thought he misunderstood and explained that he intended to set anyway and all of his detectives on case. Please don't, he begged. We are no longer looking for Dorothy. And he died, and Francis died July of 1922. And his wife passed in September of 1928. And this is the disappearance of Dorothy Arnold. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and comment. And please share.